ask unanimous consent the motion proceed to H.R. 674 be adopted. After the motion is adopted, the majority leader be recognized to offer amendment number 927 on behalf of Senator Tester and others. That when the Senate resumes consideration of the bill on Wednesday, November 9th, Senator McCain or his designee be recognized to offer a second-degree amendment number 928, that no other amendments, points of order, or motions be in order to either amendment or the bill prior to the votes other than budget points of order, and the applicable motions to waive. Following morning business on Wednesday, November 9th, the Senate proceed to the consideration of the motion to proceed to S.J. Res. 6, as provided under the previous order. Upon the use or yielding back of that time, the Senate resume consideration of H.R. 674. Further, that at 10 a.m. Thursday, November 10th, the Senate proceed to the consideration of the motion to proceed to S.J. Res. 27 as provided under the previous order. That at noon, the Senate resume consideration of the motion to proceed to S.J. Res. 6. There will be up to 5 minutes of debate, equally divided between the two leaders or the designees, prior to vote on the motion to proceed to S.J. Res. 6. Following the vote, the Senate then proceed to a vote on the motion to proceed to S.J. Res. 27. That there be 2 minutes equally divided between the votes. That if either or both motions to proceed are agreed to, then further debate and votes on the joint resolutions be deferred until 2:15 p.m. on Tuesday, November 15th. With all other provisions of the previous orders regarding the joint resolutions remaining in effect. At 2:15 on Thursday, November 10th, the Senate resumed consideration of H.R. 674. There will be up to 15 minutes of debate on the bill and amendments to run concurrently, with time equally divided between the two leaders or the designees. That upon the use or yielding back of that time, the Senate proceed to votes in relation to the amendments to H.R. 674 in the following order: McCain, 928, and Reed for Tester Amendment number 927. That the McCain and Reed for Tester amendments be subject to a 60-vote affirmative vote threshold. That upon the disposition of the amendments, the bill be read a third time and passed. The Senate proceed to vote on passage of the bill as amended, if amended. Upon disposition of H.R. 674, the Senate proceed to vote on the motion to vote cloture on the motion to proceed to H.R. 2354, the Energy and Water Appropriations Bill.
Without objection, so ordered. The clerk will report the bill.
Calendar number 212, H.R. 674, an act to amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1986, and so forth and for other purposes.
The clerk will report the amendment.
The Senator from Nevada, Mr. Reed, for Mr. Tester, proposes amendment number 927.
Mr. President, I move to proceed to calendar number 157, H.R. 2354.
The clerk will report.
The Senator from Nevada, Mr. Reed, moves to consider H.R. 2354, an act making appropriations for energy and water development and related agencies for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2012, and for other purposes.
Mr. President, I have a cloture petition at the desk.
The clerk will report.
Cloture motion. We, the undersigned senators, in accordance with the provisions of Rule 22 of the Standing Rules of the Senate, hereby move to bring to a close the debate on the motion to proceed to calendar 157, H.R. 2354, an act making appropriations for energy and water development and related agencies for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2012, and for other purposes, signed by 17 senators as follows.
I ask, Mr. President, consent that the names not be read.
Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent that the mandatory quorum under Rule 22 be waived.
Without objection.
I now withdraw my motion.
The motion is withdrawn.
I now ask, Mr. President, unanimous consent that we move to a period of morning business. Senators allowed to speak therein for up to 10 minutes each.
Without objection.
I ask consent that Environment and Public Works Committee discharge from further consideration of S. Res. 132.
The clerk will report.
S. Res. 132, recognizing and honoring the zoos and aquarium of the United States.
Without objection, The committee is discharged and the Senate will proceed to the measure.
That's unanimous consent. The resolution be agreed to, the preamble be agreed to, the motion reconsider be laid on the table. There be no intervening action or date. There be no intervening action or debate, and that any statements relating to this matter be placed in the record at the appropriate places if given.
Without objection.
I now ask consent amendment to title number S 1280 be engrossed, set out in the heading of amendment number 668, be considered to have been proposed and adopted as such, and that a statement further explaining this amendment be printed in the record.
Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent that when the Senate completes the business day, adjourn till 9:30 a.m. tomorrow morning, Wednesday, November 9th. The following the prayer and the pledge of journal proceedings be approved to date. The following hour be deemed expired. The time for the two leaders be reserved for use later in the day. The following any leader marks the Senate be in a period of morning business for 70 minutes. The senators are permitted to speak therein for up to 10 minutes each, with the time equally divided and controlled between the two leaders or the designees, with the Republicans controlling the first 40 minutes, majority controlling the final 30 minutes. Following morning business, Senate proceed to consideration S.J. Res. 6 under the previous order.
Without objection.
So tomorrow we will debate S.J. Res. 6 regarding net neutrality and continue debate on H.R. 674, the 3% Withholding Repeal Act, with Veterans Job Amendment. If there is no further business to come before the Senate, I ask that it adjourn under the previous order.
The Senate stands adjourned until 9:30 a.m. tomorrow morning.
So, the Senate's gavelled out, but earlier today, members continued work on a bill that proposes to repeal a requirement that the government